Hello everyone, Rose Pants here. Super excited to kick off the very first edition of my online book club Ustream thing, so it can be more interactive. But anyways, moving right along to what we're actually discussing, our book that we're starting with, 1984. Today we are discussing pages 1 to 42, and I'm pretty damn excited. When I had this idea of doing a book club, I kind of let you guys decide which book we were going to start with, and we chose 1984 because recently with the whole NSA leak coming, obviously it had been going on for a while, but there was this specific leak that kind of brought it to everyone's attention in the country, and everyone started freaking out. So it just happened to be that the sales for this book shot up. I made a video where I said that it shot up 5,000%, and then later that week I read that it was 7,000%. So the sales for this book continued to grow. More and more people are reading this, making some sort of connection between what is going on in this book and then what's going on today in real life, and it's kind of alarming. So let's see if I have, there's 8 viewers. I'm so excited. Okay, so I was really awful and forgot to say like where and when I was actually going to be doing this Ustream, so I kind of wasn't expecting anyone to come, since it was really like literally 3 hours that I let people know when this was going on. But let's see if I can get some. Here's the chat. There it is. Social stream. We've got anything going on? I have no idea. Let me see. I've got a notebook with some discussion topics we can start with while I figure out this whole chat thing so it can be interactive with you guys. Social stream. Is this gonna work? Trying to type, see if this will work. It's telling me to wait 6 seconds. Like, there's a delay on my comment. That doesn't make any sense. It's only 10:03, so I think I'm gonna like actually get into the book discussion maybe around like 10:10, so it can give some people time to make their way over here. What's up with this chat? Not quite sure. Let's see. Do you guys see a chat box? I mean, I see that there's 10 viewers here. There has to be some sort of thing. Chat, that's what I want. Where are you? Chat. There we are. Okay. Ha! And some familiar faces. Where did those screen names just go? Sorry, this like first few minutes is gonna be really awkward while show users. Yeah, I just need to like figure out the logistics of this shit first. Hello, Know Your Pot. I'm so glad you can make it. Latino Heat 420. Hello. So glad you guys are here. Okay, 10:05. I think I've figured out this shit. I've got my chat going right there. Got my book notes. Look at all that shit. This was really interesting fucking first 42 pages of this book. A lot happened. So, let's see. First thing I wrote, oh my god, I love books with a good, strong first sentence. Because obviously you're starting a book, you don't really know what to expect, and then that first sentence is just like, bam, whole new world, like, let's just get into this. And let's read it directly. Alright, first sentence of 1984. It was a bright, cold day in April, and the clocks were striking 13. So in my mind, it was like right off the bat, you realize we're not in the typical world. Like, is it in the future? Is it in the past? Like, what has happened? Oh, that's a crazy light behind me. Obviously we don't have an hour 13. I'm gonna Scooch. Yeah. Okay. Obviously, we don't have an hour 13, so you're kind of like, whoa, what kind of dropping shit? What kind of society is this where they have the clock strikes 13? Like, that's not how it is for us. So obviously, we're talking about a different time. What's going on? And then also, right off the bat, you realize that there is a strict government going on, and what the hell is Hate Week? You know, right up, like, you know, it's a book, so it's going to slowly get into things and reveal what's going on. But you're just like on this first page kind of trying to figure things out, and the clock is striking 13. There's something called a Hate Week. What the hell? What's going on? Let's see. Yeah, right now we're in Oceania. Hopefully it doesn't turn into that literally, because the United States is kind of looking like that lately. Let's see. Oh yeah, so it was already on page 2. They found like a similarity with the NSA shit. I didn't write down a specific thing. Page 2. What's going on? I mean, obviously, if you have your copy of the book, it's going to help a lot. I'm going to refer to specific pages while we have this little discussion. What did I say about page 2 and NSA? Oh, I guess this, so, one of the awesome things about buying used books is that people already underline and write little notes in the margins, so that's definitely how my copy of the book is. I don't know if you can see any of that, but like, a bunch of stuff has been highlighted already for me, which is kind of nice. So I think I found what I was talking about. The quote on page 2, it says, "The patrols did not matter, however, only the thought police mattered." So it's kind of like the NSA, where it's like, it doesn't really matter, they're just going to do what they're going to do no matter what. So it doesn't really seem legit in this book, not like a good thing that's going on, and even today, it doesn't seem like it's a good thing that's going on. But let's see, moving right along, yeah, down to page 4, it breaks down like the inner groups of the government and how it works in Oceania, which is the place where this book takes place. Let me skip ahead to that page. So this crazy complex, obviously overbearing, really powerful government has, let's see, they have what they call 4 ministries between the entire apparatus of the government, and it was divided by the Ministry of Truth, which concerned itself with news, entertainment, education, and the fine arts, the Ministry of Peace, which concerned itself with war, and the Ministry of Love, which maintained law and order, the Ministry of Plenty, which was responsible for economic affairs, and their names in Newspeak, which right off the bat you're like, what? There's this whole other language? So yeah, they've got this whole other crazy language called Newspeak, and so they refer to these ministries by Mini True, Mini Pax, Mini Love, and Mini Plenty. If you hear any noise in the background, it's Luke Skywalker, my cat, playing, so don't mind that. And let's see. Yeah, so we get introduced to this crazy powerful, like, overarching government that has all of these different, like, subsets within it, and it's all this huge governing power, and you're honestly already scared of it, and you don't even know anything about it. Okay, so we learn who our main character is, and we also learn that he works for the government, but he's still breaking rules. So you don't really know exactly where his mind is at this point, and if he is on the side of the government, if he's super with it, or if he's against it. You don't really know at this point. But you know that something's up. Something's going on in that head of his. I like a discussion question that I had for you guys is, what was your impression of the 2 minutes of hate? There is a scene in the book, let's see, you don't have the page number, but there is this moment where our main character Winston is at work, and they take this like mandatory break when they're at work where they all go into this what seems like a conference room, and there's 2 minutes of hate where you can just draw your own conclusions. And yes, over here in the chat, Know Your Pot brings it up that, yeah, right off the bat, the main thing that our main character, Winston, like the rules that he's breaking that I mentioned, is that he has a diary, essentially, and he has an old pen and quill, and he's writing in it. So it's like, just having the blank diary in general is breaking the rules of this government, and then writing, and specifically what he writes, is like really breaking the rules, so you're kind of on edge and not really sure what's going to happen with that. Let me see. So we got 4 viewers and 5 guests. You guys need to be more active in this chat. That would be awesome. Oh yeah, so then moving on, we had this whole 2 minutes of hate, and then they bring up another crazy term, because really, so it's like, bam, first sentence of the book, you realize that you're in a whole different time, and then continuously, like page after page, they throw at you these new terms, and you're like, what? What the hell is going on? So this new term that I like had to bring up is thought crime, and I kind of was like having that connection to the NSA and being like, oh shit, is that the next step for them? Like, they're just gonna be like, oh, you thought that? No, that's not allowed. You're in trouble. So based on that thought crime, so it's on page 24, he said, nothing was your own except the few cubic centimeters inside your own skull. Nothing is your own in this society, and that is creepy as fuck. So our main character, Winston, he makes the connection that he's a dead man for what he's done. Having this, aw, does Luke want to say hi? Yeah, Luke wants to say hi. Luke Skywalker, you get out of here. Sorry for that little interruption. Okay, so our main I'm losing my voice now. So our main character, Winston, he makes the connection that he knows that he's, quote-unquote, he says dead man. Like, it's not even like, oh, it's like slap on the wrist. Dead man. Like, he's really doing something wrong. He knows what he's doing. So he's made that connection for what he has and is doing, but it doesn't really seem to matter, and it doesn't really seem like he's going to stop. Like, there's the moment when he's writing in his diary, and someone knocks on his door, and he's, like, really freaking out. He looks across the room, and the diary's still sitting there. Like, just having that diary in general, not even just writing in it, is gonna get him in trouble. What? Oh my god. What is going to happen with this? So, okay, so I guess by, like, page 30, we have our little intro to this new society and government and how it's working. You get the gist of it. You don't really fully understand it, but you have enough information. And so I wrote down a quote from page 29. That's what comes of trusting them. I said all along. Let's see. Oh, this is a quote from a crazy guy, I think. Let me go back to page 29. Luke, what are you doing? Standing right next to me. Let's see. So who is this person that had this quote? Yeah, it says, every few minutes the old man kept repeating, we didn't ought to have trusted him. I said so, Ma, didn't I? That's what come of trusting him. I said so all along. We didn't ought to have trusted the buggers. So this quote kind of stuck out at me, and it was kind of like maybe a little backstory and how this government came into power and took such controlling power, and obviously someone trusted them, and then they just took it way, way too far. So another kind of vague parallel, I guess you could say, to this book and then today's society. That's how it happens. Like, they get you to trust them and make you believe that whatever they're doing it for your benefit and it's going to help you. And then they kind of do this like mind melding thing where you're super trustful of them, whatever they're going to do is going to be great. And then it's just not, because in the end, before you even know it, they've somehow fucked you over, and the world you live in is not the same. It's just not the same. So, another thing that really stuck out to me was on page 30, and it happened on another page before page 30, but I just made the note that it was specifically on page 30. He says in 1984, and then in like parentheses it says if it was 1984, because he mentions a few times that this government is so overpowering that dates have become like irrelevant, and like specific dates. So he's kind of just estimating if it's 1984. It could be 1983, he said. So I was like, what? Is that really happening? Let's see, another quote that popped out at me. Said, who controls the past controls the future. Who controls the present controls the past. And this was a huge example of another thing that was like a specific term that's just used in this society, and that is doublethink and doublespeak. Again, they say who controls the past controls the future. Who controls the present controls the past. That's just scary power. Scary, scary power, and in no way, shape, and form should it be a government, one government, to have all of that power. That is just fucking terrifying. So Latino Heat and Know Your Pot down in the chat are discussing that everything's done for money. Obviously, this like hunger for power, what is like driving that force? Yeah, it's definitely money, and in the end, it's really hurting us, so not good. Moving along, another note I made was that Winston does have memories of things that no longer exist. One of the main examples was airplanes. Something as just simple as airplane. All the evidence is destroyed. There is no proof remaining. There's, like, if you were to just, like, go up to someone random and try talking about airplanes, they probably wouldn't know what the fuck you're talking about, because the government had destroyed all proof that airplanes had ever existed. And that is just fucking too extreme. Way too extreme. Like, they're just erasing history across the board, like huge specific events. You know something extremely fishy is going on, and it's not good. Not good at all. Someone said Congress and the senators only pass laws for big business and corporations. I completely agree. Unfortunately, it's kind of how our government's working these days. Man, more doublespeak. I did forget to mention. So they have, go to what page specifically it is. Okay, so the ministry has this like slogan that they use that is, war is peace, freedom is slavery, and ignorance is strength. If you guys are watching this in the Ustream, let me know what you guys think of that. If you're watching this later on YouTube, let me know down in the comments below. This is their overarching message, what they're like spewing to people all day, every day. They've got like posters all over town spewing their saying, war is peace, freedom is slavery, and ignorance is strength. Like, that's what they go by. And that's just crazy. It's crazy. Mm-mm. So moving on, yeah, so I was talking about how they just completely across the board destroy evidence if something doesn't sound like they want it to. I mean, by they, I mean the government. Then it's just destroyed or changed completely. So any literature with political or ideological significance, which is essentially everything, is altered to better suit Big Brother, and it is Winston's job to do it. So we find out that not only is our main character Winston working for this government, but he works for the part of the ministry. He works for the Ministry of Truth, I believe it is, and he changes history or erases it completely, and that is just super scary. Moving on to this chat, someone said the pharmaceutical industry spends over $100 billion per year on just advertising and less than $50 million on research, development, and safety testing. Oh my god, I had no idea that it was that big of a difference. I mean, obviously I knew that they're spending more money on advertising and all of that, but $100 billion and then only 50 million on the shit that actually should matter and is what is going to help keep people healthy and awesome? That's crazy. Sounds like something Hitler would have said. Yeah, definitely. That whole, like, double speak is definitely going back on history. And see, this book was published, I mean, like, around that time. Like, the author of the book was living in that time, so it definitely makes sense. Like, that's kind of what his basis was. Question about the book. So, were there people who remembered the old things like airplane and other stuff they erased from history? You don't really know specifically, just because when you're reading the book, the only main character and perspective that you have is the main character, Winston. And so, yes, he does have memories of things that no longer technically exist, but you don't really know about society as a whole. Like, they're kind of all brainwashed, and they're not going to be publicly discussing any of those things because you'll get in trouble and then you'll just disappear. Because that's another thing, is in this society, they don't throw you in jail. It's very rare that you're thrown in jail. There are situations where that happens, but the majority of the time, you disappear. They just murder you. If you don't agree with the government, we're going to murder you. That's their style. Cancer's big business. They found several cures and refused to release it, cannabis is being one of them. When something cannot be controlled, a la cannabis, it becomes illegal. Completely agree. Oh my goodness. We're already at 10:24, so I'm going to kind of wrap this up. I only have a few more notes that I made on our section of the book. We're talking about pages 1 through 42 today, and yeah, it's just crazy that Big Brother is changing history and changing all shit that's political or ideological significance. Like, that is just kind of mind-blowing. So, it's impossible to prove falsification occurring because it is people's specific jobs to, do this erasing and rewriting, and it's, one of their main goals of Big Brother to just, cover it all up, and whatever they want to be perceived, that is what is going to be perceived by the main group of society, definitely today, there are open-minded people, they know what's really going on, but then there's that whole, big chunk of people that are all brainwashed. They don't really care that they're brainwashed, and they just kind of go with the flow and don't really care. Ooh, this chat is actually going off. What have you guys said? I'd be scared to fart in public. Possibly. It doesn't mention anything specifically about that. I don't know if that's against their rules. If you speak the truth, you're shown as a terrorist. Unfortunately, yeah. I've just read, actually, they changed the definition of terrorist for, who the U.S. can, legitimately go after. And they really broadened it. Before, it was very specific on who a terrorist was. but now, like, it's kind of scary. A lot of people could be considered terrorists in their eyes, and that's just not right, because they're not actually terrorists. They're not wanting to cause great harm. So, crazy. Checking out this chat. People are bringing up Edward Snowden, who thankfully got out of Hong Kong successfully, and hopefully no one will extradite him and the U.S. cannot continue to do something awful. Like, it's just my opinion, but he didn't do anything wrong. So he shouldn't be arrested or extradited, bring him back to this country to torture him and lock him up. Just shouldn't happen. Remember the old World War II saying, "Lest we forget, I do," and America is turning into a Nazi state. Sheeple, yeah, kind of. Do you know about the NDAA? I do. I definitely know about that. Kind of running out of time, so I'm not going to get into that specifically. But, yeah, shit's crazy. Let me see. 10 years in prison for wearing a mask at a protest. Yes, horrible that I've heard that they've changed rules for protests where you can't cover your face. Like, I don't know, it doesn't really make any sense. Let's see. Moving on, what else did I say? So in the very end of this, like, section of the book, we're going to page 42. Winston gets the feeling that his cubicle partner is working on the same exact project that he is, which is rewriting a certain part of history or like a certain event that happened, and that the ministry chooses whatever story they feel best fits the historical rewrite. And that's kind of alarming that it's like they have multiple people working on the same thing, and then they just choose which one they want to go with. So it's like really super far-fetched, like not truth at all. There's no truth to history anymore. They've just taken it all out, and again, it's super terrifying. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we're at 10:28. My last, let's look at the chat. Good. Everyone's just talking about what's going on today and how terrifying it is. Totally agree. But my last thought on 1984, there we go, and this section of pages 1 through 42. I'm on the fence about our main character Winston and which side he is really on and what's going to have the most influence on him, Big Brother or the individualism that still remains inside of him. Because you're just kind of torn. Like, obviously he works for the government, something fishy is going on. It doesn't seem like everyone has a government job, so it was like something that he either chose or like got put in specifically. And at that same time, he seems like an individually thinking person. Like, he has these memories and these thoughts that he knows are technically legal, but he's doing these things anyways. So, definitely looking forward. I mean, obviously, I've read this book before. It's been a few years. So, looking forward to how this is going to continue with Winston, what decisions he's going to make, what's going to happen with this diary that he's writing. One of the things I didn't mention, one of the things that he wrote in his diary was down with Big Brother, and it was like, he kind of went into a trance when he was doing it, and he just looked down at his diary and saw that he'd written it like 20 times across this page, down with Big Brother, down with Big Brother. And so you kind of feel like, yeah, he's a strong person, but is he going to be strong enough to stand up to the government? We will see. So, you guys definitely let me know if this timing works for you guys. I'm definitely doing this whole Ustream thing because it works the easiest for talking with you guys and making it not so one-sided. We can have like an actual conversation, and then it'll upload the video to YouTube for people to watch later. But timing-wise, what works best for you? Is it earlier in the day or later in the day? I'm definitely going to be sticking with Saturdays and Sundays for this, so people, it's like the weekend, more people will be available. And yes, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm going to get out of here. Let's see if there's anything in the chat that needs to be addressed. We have 2 to 3 corporations that run the world media. You know there is something biased going on. Definitely. Censorship is easy to have done. Free Mark Emery. Totally agree. I heard that Orwell actually titled it 1948 originally. The publisher forced him to transpose the year as to not alarm the readers / public. Oh, that's crazy. I did not know that because I'm pretty sure that the book was published in 1949, I want to say. So if they had titled the book 1948, that is pretty much saying this crazy shit's happening right now. So I kind of understand the publisher's take on that and why they forced that to change, but what are you gonna do? It's still truth that's written. Like, it, history has this like sneaky little thing where it likes to repeat itself. So yeah. Okay, I'm gonna get out of here. Thank you guys for discussing the first 42 pages of 1984 with me. This is so much fun, and I'll see you guys later.